Well, here we are. Evolved Conversations number 32 with a good friend, Greg. Greg has been a good friend for a number of years and first met in the fitness industry and then transitioned both of us, obviously, out of the fitness industry into the corporate facilitation coaching space. Greg, why don't we just start off with a bit about your story? And I thought before the call, how can we kind of frame it? And I thought it would be awesome around the transformation and the transition that you've made from being on stages around the world in the fitness industry to being on the stages in front of corporates around the world. So, yeah, share a bit about your story and where you are now.
A bit about my story. What was really funny is I had a friend who is in lockdown, and as most of us are in Australia at the moment, and he got bored, so he started scanning old photos, and some of the old photos. There was one of me in London in our first apartment together, so it would have been about 1998, and I was trying to work out like what I was looking at in the TV because it looked like I was studying something from the lounge, and it turns out I was certifying body pump, Les Mills body pump instructors at the time. So I just had this mass of VHS tapes down the side. And yeah, so that was pretty much my beginning into everything. Starting in fitness, I think when I was 17. So I started doing the whole like step and aerobics thing and being a bit of an instructor. And then in 1998, I had a kind of contract over in the US, which took me to the UK. Because it was pretty much like if you wanted to be successful in the industry, this was a tough gig doing it from Australia. And Marcus, a friend of mine at the time, was like dual world aerobic champion. So he was like, look, I'm moving to London. There's a couple of us over there. It's great for the international presenting scene. And then as soon as I made it known that I was coming, I kind of hooked up with a couple of professional organizations over there, and they were like, we would love to have you. So I kind of very much did land with my bum in the butter, so to speak. Um, and after going to London, I like literally within like probably about 6 weeks, I was out on tour. So we used to just travel up and down the UK doing workshops for other instructors. And then, being so close to Europe, we started that and I kind of rode the Les Mills wave. But most importantly for me personally, there was the kind of fitness side, the jumping up and down and kind of physical side of what we're doing, which, let's face it, a lot of people can do and do a lot better than me. But the other side was the teacher training. So the actual kind of ability to stand up in front of a group over 8 hours and start at 9 o'clock and have you leave at 5 o'clock, experiencing something and being trained in something in a way that was, not going to go out and kill health club members. So yeah, that's what I love doing. Like I was thinking about it earlier today. If I wasn't doing this now, what would I do? And if the pay wasn't so crappy, I'd probably be a teacher. That and the fact that I'd have to put up with children, which wouldn't be such a good look for me, I'm sure.
And
uh,
and what was the sort of catalyst to moving from obviously traveling around the world, Les Mills for the people that are not aware of Les Mills, listening from parts of the world that Les Mills are not there, which I don't think there's many, but
there's nowhere left, I'm sure.
the biggest group fitness before everything else. There was kind of Les Mills, wasn't there? The group fitness phenomenon that's has taken the world by storm, really.
Yeah, yeah. And so we were kind of at that initial bunch of trainers back in the kind of mid to late 90s. And as that grew, so did we. And that kind of, well, it didn't really kick stuff off because I was doing my own stuff. And so my own stuff got the kind of interest of certain sponsors, particularly in the equipment space. And I ended up working with Nike for quite a few years, looking after some of the team of trainers, both back here in Sydney and in London. And yeah, it was a pretty good go. I did 55 countries and probably trained over 500,000 people in that time, over the last kind of 27, 28 years. When I moved back to Australia, I was like, what's really going to like rock your boat now? Like, how can you take some of the skills that you've learned and how can you kind of move into a different area? And I had a friend send me their wellness coaching kind of initial bit of an education, and I was like, wow, I love this sort of stuff, because for me it was the missing link between body and brain, brain and body. I've been on like 60 million yo-yo diets over my time, and I just thought, what's that thing where you can't quite crack it? You know, you can get there and you get a level of leanness, or you're doing stuff for an event, but then you come off the wagon, you're on the wagon, you're off the wagon. And I thought, if only people knew more of this sort of stuff, we'd probably have a little bit more success as an industry. So I just literally went into that space. It was all very synergistic. I did a diploma in coaching, leadership, and mentoring, and I was just like, this is everything. Like for me, at this period in my life, I just turned 40. I was like, I want to delve into all this sort of stuff. And so realistically, it was just from all of that. You know, I became a registered accredited coach with the International Coaching Federation. When I got myself a kind of master's in neurolinguistic programming and timeline therapy, I started working in corporates for myself and for others. And yeah, that's kind of the space I sit in now, and I love it.
And it's interesting, the 8 hours on stage, trying to keep an audience engaged in a physical space, and now here we are on the other side, and also in a different type of environment called Zoom, where we have trying to keep people engaged for 8 hours. What's some of the challenges and what's some of the learnings that you've taken from the fitness industry into keeping people engaged? Because it's no easy task keeping people engaged, stimulating, and getting that stickability that Les Mills has, and it continues to thrive around the world. So like lessons out of that taken into what you're doing now with the corporate leadership training space.
The primary thing I've taken is the ability to speak and speak to lots of different people to try and get the experience on board. And the second big thing is the energy flow. I remember doing a speakership course with Matt Church, and he was like, you got to be good at managing the energy. So you become like a wizard in a room of like just recognizing where's the energy at, looking at different pockets, reading the body language of people. And I think after, 28 years of having anywhere from 10 to 500 people in front of you and trying to just quickly scan the room and become a wizard at the energy, just understanding where do I need to pick it up. Not coming from corporate, I think that also helps. So when you go corporate to corporate, you can get stuck in, you might be an okay orator, but where do you sit on the kind of entertainment? Read my jazz hands in there. Where do you sit on the entertainment value? Because it has to be everything. It has to be a little bit humorous. It has to be interesting. It has to be delivered in the right way for a particular audience, depending on their corporate culture. And how do you keep the energy up? I mean, I do 8-hour days, just in taking live 8-hour days to virtual 8-hour days. And for most, that's unheard of. They max out at three or 4 hours as a kind of complete blanket. And I don't disagree with that. I think that's probably a sweet spot, but, clients, if they want something, you give it to them.
100%. And well, we all know that Zoom burnout and Zoom fatigue right now is at all-time highs. For someone that is doing probably more than anyone I know in the Zoom training space, how are you navigating this, not being on live stages and being able to keep that engagement level on a Zoom call for 8 hours? Like, what are some sort of tools, strategies that you put into those sessions?
Yeah, that's me turning I should use this hand, shouldn't I? That's me turning the dial up. You literally have to just dial it up to 10 on most things. So if you're an 8 in a live presence, you have to dial it up to 10 in terms of even the speed. Like, I don't talk this fast in a normal conversation. You and I have had plenty of conversations, but you have to pick up the pace. You have to pick up the energy. And the reason I know you have to do that as well is because when you hang up and you close the laptop, you're done for. At 5 o'clock, you're like, whew, because there was some interesting research that came out. It's about rapid eye movement. And so just the fact that you're kind of on Zoom looking at all these different boxes, and as a presenter as well, there's a forward process as well as in the now. So you're doing the now show, but you're thinking about, okay, well, what's the next thing? What have we got to get ready for then? You know, it only takes one person to not receive something, or they can't see something in a chat, and you got to go off there if there's no moderator and you're handling the whole thing yourself. So it's about content, it's about you and your performance, and then you've got this added thing about technology that sits on the side of it, and it can be draining, like really draining. The one thing that fitness taught me was eyes and teeth. Eyes and teeth.
Yeah.
Just rock up, smile. It didn't matter what pain we were in, how much we were hurting, what our day was. That was their first hour and their only hour, and either coming to a class or doing a session with you. Eyes and teeth. Suck it up, put the show on, and give them the experience that they're after in a genuine and authentic way.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I suppose, yeah, looking at the new world that we are in, it's a new normal. It's a hybrid from how we learn, how we experience, how we connect. What are you most excited about moving forward with the work that you're doing? Is there a sweet spot that you're thinking or knowing that people need right now, especially in the leadership resilience space? I know we've talked a lot about burnout, Zoom fatigue, and all that sort of stuff. But if there was a workshop that you could kind of deliver to the world, both in a live experience or a Zoom experience, what would that be? What are you kind of, as you're seeing hundreds of people coming through these calls, like what would that one sort of topic workshop that you'd like to be able to deliver?
There's one I'd like to be able to deliver. There's one I'd like to be able to deliver. I'd love to call it the real deal. You know what I mean? Where it's like, yes, things could be better. Yes, everyone's going through some stuff. But you know, I feel like people have lost the ability to do the ecology check. So the ecology check is the me, the we, and then the greater good, and they can't get out of the me. My this, my thinking, my feeling, my emotions, my whatever. And it's like, yeah, I get it, and I don't want to devalue it, but you're still rocking up in an organization that has their own. You're still a part of a team that is not just you. You're a part of many. And people, not only do they lack that kind of work on me first principle in terms of their emotional intelligence, you know, how much they recognize their own moods, their own triggers, what sets them off. But in amongst all of that, they don't realize in terms of SQ or social intelligence, how they play out to the rest of the group. And so, you know, I just would love to do a workshop where, you know, we delve a little bit into the thinking and the behavior of not just the individual, but the team, and then the team in relation to the rest of the business, and kind of play in that space in a real kind of way. Like, to be honest, you're never not going to get time back. So I'm so sick and tired of hearing like, oh, I've just been busy. You're always going to be busy. You're always going to be busy. If you work in business, that's it. That's the new black. Get over it. Okay, what else you got? And realistically, having the tools to best be able to handle the busyness, to best be able to time manage effectively, to best be able to pull out from your toolkit any one of a number of strategies to get yourself through it and weather the storm. That's what I'm interested in. Hearing about like how busy you are, it's like everyone says it. Well, what do you want? Like in the future, you know, there's no more time in the day. Yet people, and you'll know this, a lot of people can do a lot more with their time in any given day, and 100% of the time it comes down to how they think.
And has COVID been a catalyst, do you think, for people to reframe this notion of busyness to something more positive, and now is the time to kind of bring out those tools that you're sharing around handling, whether it's the positive reframe or the business? Is there, you think there's COVID could be the catalyst to kind of get this change moving in the right direction? And what are some of the tools that you use personally to kind of navigate this?
So in terms of Yes, I mean, COVID literally like split the difference. You got the people who are finding it really tough, and so for them, it's about, okay, well, how are you best servicing yourself? You know, in terms of your physical, spiritual, mental, and emotional capacity, how are you building capacity in each of those to best support the way you not only show up for yourself, but also then support the team and the business in the greater ecology check? Then on the flip side, you got people who are like, oh, COVID's actually been quite good for me because I've kind of realigned the balance between work and home. By being at home, I've developed relationships there. I've also had a deeper understanding of people in my team because we're having better conversations because we're not in the office. So I am checking in more often with them. So it's about getting these guys to be kind of more aligned with what are some of the positive aspects, even within a crappy situation, which is one of the key aspects of resilience, right? You know, Lucy Hone, a fellow New Zealander, for you anyway, at
Yeah.
TEDx Christchurch, she's got a great YouTube where she's like, look, there's three key things for resilience. Number one, resilient people understand that bad stuff happens. That's just life. Yeah. It's going to happen. It's going to keep happening. Cool. Not why me, but why not me is more of the where you need to head. The second thing is that they actually find the good within the bad. And that leads to the third, where they actually provide strategies to pull themselves out of it, knowing that good times will be in the future. Bad times don't happen forever. So if you can sit in those three spaces and just remind people, then they can actually take the good from this experience and move into whatever comes next.
That's powerful. Understanding, resilience and what resilient people actually do, the common threads. Back to the designing a workshop that you're excited about delivering moving forward, whether it be the real deal, which I think is it needs to be a lot more realness out there in the world. If Les Mills was to create, because I just absolutely love their programming and their community and their culture of what they've grown around the world. It's a pretty amazing story that continues to thrive with every other new type of fitness modality or trend or anything. Les Mills is still going strong, from outside perspective anyway. If Les Mills, you could take that type of formatting, and I know we've talked about this in the past in regards to what is a great group fitness class built out of, whether it's 35, 45 an hour, that type of format into like mental health, well-being space, that you could design some sort of class that people could participate in to get that type of experience of community, conversation, culture. Fascinates me, of like, how do you pull the good stuff out of happening here and put it into there.
Well, look, their success a lot, and it used to be one of the taglines. Their community was their tribe. And you were part of the Les Mills tribe. So once you get people wanting to be a part of something, and I can remember back in the early days, particularly training in North America, I launched New York Sports Club, and I remember being called a Nazi on one of the trainings because it was in this time when they were encouraging you to wear the clothes. Yeah, so if you taught body pump, they wanted you dressed in body pump colors, being red and black, and they wanted you to teach, the set choreography, and that was so foreign to people. What, you're going to tell me how to dress, and you're going to tell me what to do and what music to use? Yeah, that's the training you signed up for. It's just they couldn't get their head around it, and so I had 2 days to kind of effectively pull them in, have them understand why it was a good thing, and then convince them to be a part of the tribe and a part of the community. And that became the success of it, because people, above everything, they wanted to be a part of that tribe. They wanted to wear the clothing. They wanted to go to the releases. They wanted to see the superstars. So I think there has to be a kind of current dissatisfaction for what is happening right now for you to want to make a move in that positive direction. And so when we talk about like putting some of those key principles into it, I go back to physical, mental, spiritual, emotional capacity. And I'd say, okay, well, how could we get elements of all of that into some kind of programming? It'd almost be like a hybrid thing. You know what I mean? It would be part meditation, part movement and activity, part gratitude, taking the best of all bits to feed into each of those capacities so that you come up with a kind of holistic wellness class. Because at the moment, you have to go everywhere to do everything. You know what I mean? You have to join a gym to do the physical stuff. You have to go to a yoga studio to do yoga. You have to buy Headspace or Calm or whatever as an app to get your meditation. It's like one place, one thing. Here's your lot.
Yeah, we look at like F45, like high intensity training, which is, I think, came after Les Mills, right? And what would a 45 minute F45 session for mental health, well-being, all those packets put into it.
And you could do it easily, 45 minutes. You could have a 15-minute something and a 20-minute something else, a 5-minute, journaling of gratitude, whatever, as a daily practice where the structure and the content can change. The meditation might be focusing on an intention, something. You should look into that. There you go. The Wonder app.
Put it out there somewhere.
They just sold, I think he just sold F45 because he's an Australian guy, isn't he, for like God knows how many billions of dollars. So there you go.
Well,
something in your future, Steve.
Part of it, maybe.
That's
potentially.
Right.
Yeah, everyone's there is trying to find a quick fix, like whether it's fitness or it's change, transformation. Everyone's looking for that magic bullet course book to literally transform their life. And hey, I've been on that journey. We've probably both been on that journey.
We've all been on that journey. I think
journey. What's your sort of tips around change?
So there's a horrible there's a horrible stock market term. Have I ever mentioned that to you?
No.
There's a horrible stock market term called a dead cat bounce. It's another reason not to maybe love the banking world or bankers. But a dead cat bounce on the trading floor is if you slam a cat on the floor that's dead, it will bounce, but it will still be dead. So when they see, and apologies to all the cat lovers out there listening, but when you see a momentary blip in the markets of activity, and then it comes straight back down and flatlines again, it's called a dead cat bounce. And so that's what I think happens when people are looking for quick fixes. They get a dead cat bounce. They get that kind of momentary, roar like a tiger, find your courage, whatever, on Instagram, and they go, yeah, I'm gonna be courageous. And then by 11:30, they've been hit with something in life, and they're back to whatever they were thinking yesterday. And so it's really just about, sometimes we talk about a AAA process: awareness, acceptance, action. Awareness, acceptance, action. And you just have to keep going back, just taking the necessary time to reflect. How could I have made that better? Did that rock up for me in the best way? What would I do differently next time? And keep going around that circle, and eventually, hopefully, enough stuff will become habitual that you just start moving the needle forward. Nobody gets hit by like a lightning bolt on a Thursday, and they're highly constructive gurus on a Friday. It just takes time, and it's tough. It's tough.
And I feel the change bus, like some people are like, no, I don't need to. A good friend, Simon Bowen from Model Methods. It's funny. I always look up to try and recite things. I think that's a neurological thing to try.
It is. It's an NLP. If you're trying to remember visually, you look up and to the left.
Right, there we go. So I'm going up to the right, so I don't know what the hell's going there.
Hang on.
Bowen talks
it's
about
an eye accessing cue from NLP, but there you go.
Oh, well, there we go. I need to do an NLP course. Add that one to the list of to-dos and books to read. Is the different lines that we sit on and COVID is a time where we're like, I'm in the travel and event space. I sit on the the red line, and that's just like, nope, I'm just going to wait this out, and things are just going to be the same as they are at some time soon in the future. Or the yellow line, I will continue tracking on how I am and slowly make some changes to see if I can survive and then thrive out the other side. And then this green line around, I'm going to take action to innovate because things aren't going to be the same, and look at how to, we don't like the word pivot, but innovate in a space. And I think change is, it can be defined in those lines as well. Is some people just don't think they need to change, but the only thing that's constant in life is change, isn't it? So how are you enabling and empowering people with the tools to get the change that has sustainability and scalability? And you can use a fitness example, or an example in the corporate space, whether it's getting someone to change their sales mindset or their leadership style. Like, yeah, tools of stickability and scalability.
Yeah. Well, first of all, we go in and we run an assessment. So we'll do the lifestyles inventory, 12 thinking and behavior styles. So that's the awareness. You can literally see this is a map of your effectiveness in terms of how you're showing up in life, because your thinking, you know, stimulates the emotion that you will develop, and based on that emotion you go do something. It creates a behavior. Now that behavior either drives you to being more or less performance oriented. It could be higher effectiveness or lower effectiveness. So that's the first thing. Get some awareness. Where do I actually lie in space? And then sometimes we do 360. In fact, most of the time we do 360 these days with an LSI2, which gives it out to respondents and says, provide feedback. And so they get this snapshot of, here's where I think I am, here's where they think I am. You get either that happening or that or that. So it's kind of interesting. That's the first part. Then we do either through kind of a little bit of coaching or some, targeted workshops. How do we interpret that? What does it actually mean? But most importantly, like, what do you want to do differently? And I just challenge people these days who are like, oh, that's just me, oh, I won't change. It's that whole Carol Dweck fixed mindset versus growth mindset thing. And it's like, you will change because you have no choice, really. The world is moving on, and if you're not moving on with it, like you said, you're not just staying stagnant in your status quo, you're actually going backwards. Because as everything is moving forwards, to be in that point, you'll end up going backwards because everything's going to move on around you. And so that's what we find. People have to get over to a point of acceptance where they're like, okay, cool, I've had the feedback. It was a bit of a shock potentially. Some people are pleasantly surprised. For the most people point, it sets up questions to create actions around. And then the biggest question is, what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do? And in terms of workshops, for me, it's about letting them know that it's not unique to them. Everybody has their own stuff going on. Even the people who, you have the most admiration for as having their life together, I guarantee you, might be business, could be home life, relationships, external friends, whatever. Everyone has an area of their life. Could be health. How many CEOs do you know who are financially successful and might have a lovely family, but they can't walk up the stairs or play with their kids? Everybody's got some aspect of their life that is less than desirable. And my challenge to everybody is just be your best self. Don't worry about comparison or where you're looking or social media. Just concentrate on you. Because if you can work on yourself best, then invariably everything else becomes okay around you because you kind of filled that me cup.
So quick to get into the comparison judgment mode with social media surrounding us, and with COVID, right? And everyone living in the digital world. Yes, we do get out to nature sometimes and our walks, but it's so easy to go into that comparison judgment, and then that becomes the self-sabotage, which or the imposter syndrome that creeps in. So
well, yeah, as well, you're comparing your reality with everyone's ideal, because no one's really posting that time that they cried in the toilet, or I don't know, had a fight with their partner or whatever. That's not social media worthy. So let's wait until we're on holidays with a cocktail and having a nice time by the beach. Sure, but that's not reality all the time. And so it's unfair to make those comparisons, particularly on social media.
Yeah, and as we just crack the 30 minutes and start to wrap things up, I know 2020, 2021, we've had multiple conversations in regards to planning the future and looking forward and creating some excitement about what's next. 2022, let's just move through 21. What are you most excited about setting up 2022 for, and what type of work are you really going to be diving into, and what space are you going to be playing in?
Yeah. So I would say a couple of things. Stability. that would be good. Just knowing that, hopefully, touch wood, lockdowns are a thing of the past. Because the diary's been very full, and then it gets like unstable. Melbourne's in lockdown, Sydney's now in lockdown, you guys are now in lockdown. So just getting a bit of stability back. For me personally, I love a bit of travel amongst all of that. So I recognize that there will be this hybrid model, and we'll need to continue the virtual thing. But actually getting back on a plane, I love that sort of stuff. And meeting people face to face. And I would say for me, it would exclusively be in the coaching, personal development, corporate leadership space. Like, my thing is sitting down with people and just asking better questions. Just asking questions. Give them something.
Science. I know we love the
give them
question.
give them something to think about and provide a safe enough space where they can actually share. And from my experience, everyone loves talking, and everyone in some way would love a forum to be able to share a little bit more of their personal story. And I think the more that they can get that out, you'll tend to find that what they take back into the team to support the business in the ecology check, it just gets better.
You need a PDF with the ecology check. It's something that we've talked about a bit, and I think it's just such a great check-in tool, as you said, to do a bit of discovery on self, to kind of understand and be aware, to then go, okay, well, obviously I'm sitting here, and what do I need to work on? Because we all know there's enough great content and wisdom out there and resources to be able to up level different parts of our life. It's just, yeah, I don't think there's enough tools out there around the awareness piece. So yeah, you have to get that PDF created so we can share the ecology check-in.
The ecology check.
The ecology
yeah,
check.
And just step out of the me for a second. Look at the bigger picture, which is essentially what an ecology check is. The ability to look out of the bigger picture, and also for what time we do spend in the me, just being a little bit less judgy McJudge. You know what I mean? Everything's got a judgment on it. Being super critical of yourself, being super critical of everybody else. Just ease up on the pedal.
100%. Well, really appreciate the friendship over the many, many years, and the wisdom, the conversations, the safe space that we have to share and ask the hard questions. And yeah, appreciate the journey, appreciate your time today. And hopefully a few people got some good take homes from this. So thanks, mate.
Yeah, good to talk to you.
Cheers, man.